All right, what's up, y'all?
Welcome back.
Yeah. Back with yet another review. Fourth time strong. I'm Izzy,
I'm Riyaal.
and this time around we're gonna be talking about Doctor Strange and the
Multiverse
Verse
of
of Madness.
Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only remembered Multiverse in the
Eh,
subtitle. I
I,
forgot what other.
you and what is it? Subtitle,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah. First
just
the Spider Man,
man.
then it's yeah.
So we get it. We get it. We get it.
Funny you should say that. Later on, we're going to touch a little bit on that. So, like, again, be on guard as far as making sure
Okay.
I'm referring to the correct Spider Man.
Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there.
But anyway, so as usual, we're going to start off with our rating of the
So
overall
yeah.
movie.
Just the young disclaimer. So we're just two guys
Yeah,
who
yeah,
like movies, specifically the Marvel ones and any other big blockbusters.
yeah. And then we're just here chatting
Yeah.
about, I guess, our experience of the movie and
Yeah.
how we feel about it.
Yeah, so basically our opinions, like every other content creator
Yeah.
out there.
We're not experts. We know a
No,
thing or
we're
two.
okay. We're okay.
Yeah,
We're okay.
not experts.
We're
And we only say this because things get very contentious in this.
yeah.
I mean, in the movie world in general, but in the comic book movie world, it's
No,
insane.
and because Marvel's such a juggernaut now, everybody has an opinion. Everybody's a
everyone
fan.
feels so strongly about it.
Yeah.
But I think okay, enough with the disclaimers. So first off, we're gonna just kick off by saying what our, I guess, the rating of the movie is, right? So just give me the figure straight, and then we'll break it down
Yeah,
after that.
I'm going solid 9.
9 out of 10. Yeah. Look, I'm not mad at it at all. This was a mind blowing thing. As much as I wanna
Yo.
break it down afterwards, but I feel like some things you need to say beforehand.
Oi.
But I've been stuck between 8.5 and 9.
9.
Yeah, because I'm just like,
So,
man. Remember,
we-
10 is like
Yeah,
perfection,
yeah.
right?
But
And 9 means you're 1 degree away from that. So that's why I was like,
so wait, Spider-Man, we both did 9, right?
nah,
I
that's
don't know, but
yeah. I'm
anyways,
not
yeah.
gonna mess with previous ratings because I'm not gonna remember the specifics, and it's not even about that because everything still stands on its own in
Oh,
a
fair
sense.
enough. Okay. Yeah.
So I think yeah, with that whole thing in mind, I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say 9, man.
9.
Nah,
Yeah, you
I'm
have
gonna.
to. You
I
have
keep
to.
wanting to say 8.5. So you know how sometimes you don't wanna like overdo it, and but
Yeah.
nah.
But I
If it's
think
what you feel, it's what you feel.
yeah, it's like-
So I think and a strong 9 at that. Don't let
Yes,
the
yes,
hesitation
yes,
fool
yes.
you. There's
So,
a
like,
lot of brilliant things
Very
about
few
this
movies will
movie.
get 9.5 and 10, but you can differentiate nines from 9 to a strong 9. And I
Yeah,
agree
yeah,
with
yeah,
you.
yeah. This is
Strong
this is a
9.
very strong 9,
Strong 9,
and
yeah.
I think yeah. First things first, the storyline. I mean, the basis of it all, right? Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, in
Yes.
this particular iteration,
Yeah, so
she
it would be preferential if you've watched One Division.
yeah. Wonder Vision sets this
Yeah,
up
quite
fairly
nicely.
well. Obviously, the first Doctor Strange gives a bit of context as well, but yeah. So Wanda is on a mission to, I guess, reclaim her
Yeah.
position as a mother.
Yes.
Right? We
Yeah.
saw what happened in Wonder Vision, and it starts off actually. Doctor Strange needs to help this girl who is now in our universe,
Yeah,
essentially.
616 universe.
Yeah, 616, and then people or some entity out there chasing her, wanting
Yes.
to
Some-
claim her power. She
Because
has the
yeah,
ability to travel across
jump universes.
universes, and we find out that it's actually Wanda who is trying to get her
the big
powers.
bad, yeah.
Yeah, and essentially she then becomes the villain. So, with that summary, just break down your take on that storyline for me.
Yo, I enjoyed it. I mean, I told you and I told Keenan as well. Like that switch up of Wanda just being the villain. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, who's the big bad? And then Doc comes. He's like, I know somebody.
Yeah.
And then I was watching the movie, and then America was saying, so the person you asked for help is
And
the person,
told where I am
and you told where I am
is
is the one
person
who's trying to
after
get me. I was like,
Yeah.
yo.
That was insane, man. And I think it was a
Yeah, it was a brilliant reveal. It was
yes,
a brilliant reveal.
yes.
Because like, unfortunately, you're sitting in the movies and you catch a trailer, which I don't really like, but the trailers didn't lean towards a particular villain.
No,
So
no, no,
like,
no, no.
that reveal was like, it's perfect. Like,
Yeah.
it was good. Like, and it's right at the beginning of the movie, like first 10, 15 minutes. So like, they set the tone up nicely. It's not like this.
Yes.
others like Captain Marvel or Eternals, where the big reveal comes at the end and you're already confused as to what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I like the big reveal at the beginning, and then yeah, she's a brilliant villain. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, look, I definitely enjoyed the story a whole lot as
Yeah.
well. You know, every single point that you mentioned, I definitely felt the same when watching this. And I wanna, okay, I guess we'll get to the shout outs in a bit.
yeah, yeah, no, no,
But
there's
let's just
none.
start off. Yeah, fine. Overall story, I definitely enjoyed it. As you said, I like that from the beginning, they let you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Because I was actually talking to someone about this, that it's old tradition to try and have, as much suspense as possible and then
Okay.
have a reveal later. And I made the example that in the movie Jaws, I mean, I've still never seen it, but
Yeah.
we know it's a classic. Apparently took about 45 minutes for the shark to appear in the
Oh
movie.
wow.
So
Okay.
a movie about a killer shark took 45 minutes to reveal the shark. So obviously everything before then was, just teasers and build up.
Yeah.
And I'm not criticizing that because that movie came out in, is it 80s,
70s, I
70s?
think 70s, 80s. Yeah.
This is
it's
way,
old.
way
It's
back,
one
So
of Spielberg's first
in its
movies,
time,
yeah.
it made sense. But now, fast forward 30, 40 years later,
Oh yeah.
you can't do that. You can't.
Yeah,
50
especially
years
like
even.
people like we want instant gratification.
Exactly.
You know?
There's just way too much going on out there. There's a whole backstory
Yeah.
about what 23, 24 movies
Yeah.
worth of,
It's
backstory
what,
to
like
this.
14, 15 years worth of
Yeah,
storytelling.
there's a whole rich history behind this, so you can't keep wanting to
Yeah.
to tease us with every movie. So I'm glad that they really went for it, and yeah, I think it was a brilliant story
Yeah.
overall, and I think
I
as
think
far as
good shout, because I mean we talked about it and you told me like they rewrote the script so many times.
yeah,
And to see this is the end product and it wasn't like just all over the place and scatterbrained.
yeah, it
I
still
think
seemed
it's good.
pretty on
Yeah,
point. They knew
every-
exactly what they wanted
yeah.
to do, and they achieved that. And I think let's maybe get into some of the specific things. First things first, the highlights that you wanna.
Highlights.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be quite a few,
I
but I
mean,
mean, yeah, let's get to
I
it.
mean, for me, the whole reveal of
Yes,
the Scarlet
Wanda.
Witch.
Yeah.
Wanda being the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
You have to talk about the cameos.
Is this the best cameo movie in the entire MCU?
Oh,
I don't even think it's that.
I
I don't think there's that much of a conversation to have about this.
yeah. There's been like cameos. Like I like, it's always like heroes from the same universe or
Mhm.
like, yeah, like not like. I think maybe that Red Skull in Infinity War was a good one for me.
Yeah, that was a dope. Yeah,
because
yeah.
I was literally in the seat. I was like, yo, Red Skull.
And that's exactly why I say this might be the best
Yeah.
of all time, because in the other movies you had one or two
Two.
cameos that had you like, oh,
Yeah, that whole sequence.
listen, every single cameo that we had in this was just like, whoa,
Yeah.
So okay, shout out to the cameos.
Yeah, the cameos. Also, I like this movie because Wong got time.
Yeah.
Wong is a treasure.
Yes.
Like whoever tells me otherwise, you're lying.
Yeah.
'Cause
Shout out to Wong.
Is a treasure. He's like. So in like Daredevil, Rosario Dawson was the nurse in all that
Oh yeah,
Marvel
the
Netflix.
Marvel series.
She
yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
common thread.
Yes.
I feel like Wong is that situation now. Like he's the common thread,
Yeah, I
but he's
see
not
it.
a big blockbuster name.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's nice to see him pop up, and it was nice to see him get his showcase. Like,
Yes.
I enjoyed that a lot. Other highlights, sure. No, like I just enjoyed it as a whole. I think, and we spoke about this. I think in like the Spider-Man one was the lack of blood and the lack of that grittiness and like
You
pushing the
stole my
boundary.
highlights, but okay, I'll give it to you.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. So I think that grittiness and that just pushing the boundary a little bit.
Yes.
I think it's perfect. And on your end, I mean, obviously if the one has stolen, but
Yeah, no,
like to hear your
but
thoughts.
I'll get to that. And the Wonder thing, I don't think people understand. It'll take a very special person or a particular type of fan to fully appreciate how incredible that. Not necessarily the Wonder review, but just having her be a full-on bad guy in this movie.
That conviction.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, right?
'Cause-
We mentioned this when we were watching, not really watching, when we were reviewing one of the other movies, and we spoke about when you have, especially a villain in particular,
Yeah,
when you have them,
Spidey, it might have been.
No, it was, yeah, I think it was during Spider-Man. And I was referring to Loki as an example of what
Oh,
happens
okay,
when
yeah,
you
yeah,
keep a
yeah.
bad guy around for too long in these sort of movies. First time around, he's there, he's badass. And then from the maybe like second or third iteration onwards,
Yeah,
he becomes more and more watered down. And the thing with Loki, why he's a good example of why you shouldn't be dangling people around for too long, particularly the villains, is that he's never really done
yeah.
anything impactful.
He's always losing. Like he never wins.
Yeah, and he was never bad again. Like
Yeah,
he was mischievous and of course God of
yeah.
mischief, but there's nothing really badass about that. Whereas with Wanda,
Oh,
she became an Avenger, which was dope. So it's like,
yeah,
okay, now we understand why she stuck around.
yeah.
And
And
then
then,
she's
I
helping
mean,
the heroes.
yeah.
And so it's like, okay, she's at least serving a purpose.
Mm.
But then to turn around and have her become a full on bad guy again.
But I mean, she told Thanos, "You took everything." Like, if you think about that line
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
think
yeah,
about
yeah.
what she's doing now, it's like makes sense.
And I mean, two types of people you shouldn't mess with: someone with nothing to lose, and a woman scorned. She was the embodiment
She's
of
both.
both of those things. And interestingly enough, I made what may come across as an odd connection, but it's also very relevant. Of all people, she actually reminded me of Vegeta in the Dragon Ball series.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how much of a fan you are of
No,
that, but
I'm a good fan.
for
I'm a
me,
good fan.
it's like yeah,
Yeah.
best of all time. But
Shout out to Dragon Ball Super, the newer series. Like,
uh, uh,
that,
that's your shout out.
yeah,
But okay. So my point is, right? Vegeta came through badass, and then he stuck around. I mean, to this
yeah,
day. But what I liked was that he still had his moments of being bad. I mean, for the
yeah.
most part, there'll be moments where
like with Majin Buu, like
that's where I'm getting
Yeah.
at, right? So for the most part, he'd kind of go about things in not necessarily unorthodox, but let's just say a way that isn't agreeable with the Z
Yeah.
Warriors, right? Okay, that's fine, it's whatever. But when he became Margin Vegeta, it was like, okay, he's now a full-on villain.
yeah,
And remember, they were at that tournament and he killed all those people.
yeah,
So that's like a villain to the max, not on some, oh, I'm doing a little bad here and there. Like he had full conviction in him being a villain. And on top of that, he said that he voluntarily gave himself up
Yeah.
for possession
power.
in order to access that power. And I was like, oh, so it's not like he was possessed and he was forced to be a villain.
Nah, he made a
He
cho-
chose in the same way that Wanda chose. She was a
Yeah.
bad guy, became good for a bit, stuck around, and then there was a moment where she just went full on villain. So I think for the conviction that they had in that choice, I definitely give them a shout out. And speaking about Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen's acting,
Oh yeah, like the switch up, bro.
this was out of this world. Like,
She just looked like she was broken. Like when she was Scarlet Witch,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
head
yeah, yeah.
twitches and the dead eyes and just that voice. Like
she definitely
Killed it.
embodied this role to the
Killed it.
fullest. She knew, it's like they say, she understood the assignment
Yeah.
and she just killed it to the max. So I think special shout out to everyone else was good. Don't get it twisted.
no.
But acting wise, she
Yeah.
just took it to a whole other level.
Well, I mean, as we always say, when you have a villain that's well defined and is just amazing, it
Exactly.
raises the whole.
That's what I always say about movies. If a movie has a villain in it, then the movie is only as good as its villain, and a villain is only as good as their motivation.
Yeah.
And I
she-
mean, look,
she-
man, she just
like-
wanted her kids. Say what you will about how
Yeah.
they came about, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a mom who just wants the kids back. And we've seen in countless examples, you don't mess with a woman,
Yeah.
when it comes to
you
that
don't, you
particular
don't mess with the
situation.
parent in general and
Don't
the
mess
kids,
with the parents,
you
the
know?
kids, their family,
Yeah.
So I think, she was super, super brilliant. And again, with the cameos, just to break it down a little further, just the fact that, I mean, look, we've had exciting cameos, as we've mentioned
Yeah.
before, right?
Well,
but the
we've
thing
had-
about them...
I mean, this one we had a fan cast cameo.
Yeah,
also
yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
so-
And the thing about the other cameos is that I mean, okay, fine, with the trailers and whatnot, we knew that Iron Man was going to be in Homecoming, right? Cool.
Yeah.
He had a cameo role, but it wasn't too surprising to see him there.
Yes.
For instance, Captain America had a cameo in that as the, I guess, liaison to the gym teacher in those little videos.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you
yeah,
see him and it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But
Yeah,
it's
but
not
it's
shocking
yeah.
that Captain America is in there. with the cameos here,
Oh, it was
we
genuine.
didn't see it coming. We had no idea.
Yeah, no.
And they were all
And
shocking.
the thing is, it's not just the characters; it's also the Illuminati itself, which is a whole
Yeah,
other.
having the Illuminati in there was a fun little poke at, I guess the conspiracies,
So I
if
don't
you
know
will.
if you picked it up, but I mean, obviously with the cartoons and stuff, they mentioned Baxter. I think it was Christine. She mentioned Baxter Foundation,
Yeah.
and that clicked in my mind as Fantastic Four because they live in the Baxter building.
Is it?
Yeah, so I had an inkling. Okay, in that universe, Fantastic Four exists, but then like 5 minutes later, they actually show it, and I'm like,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
incredible. And obviously the Fantastic Four in that universe has some sort of significance because they even spoke about how they made it a point to mention that
Yeah.
Reed Richards
Has
a
a
wife and
his
kids.
kid. And I don't know if you know the story about Franklin. His son is like he can change realities and shit. Like he's like super OP
Oh,
as
okay.
a character.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's going to translate.
Yeah, into the future
Yeah.
movies and all. But I think having them have that strong of a presence
Yeah.
connecting with the Baxter thing as well, it just goes to show. I mean,
Yeah,
yes, we know
dropping
that the
the Easter
movie is
eggs,
coming, but it goes to show that there's quite a significance where Fantastic Four is concerned. It's not just going to be, here's some
Yeah.
other characters in the back,
Yeah. So just to break down the cameos, you had Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
You had
Yeah.
Captain Carter.
Yeah.
So if you watch What If, you'll see Captain Carter there.
Yeah.
You had Professor X, Patrick Stewart, Professor X.
Man.
Yeah, and
And
then
we had Captain America.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, well,
Captain Marvel,
Captain
I meant.
Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And then there was that Inhumans
Yes,
dude with the
Inhuman,
screaming.
Black Bolt. So I watched Inhumans as well, and I think it's the same actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it did trickle down as well.
I haven't seen the series.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh, okay, who's this guy? But okay.
Obviously, there were like horrible reviews and stuff. for
Yeah,
it, so-
I know it was cancelled
it-
after like
yeah.
a season or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Black Bolt himself as a character was quite decent, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, they all like came from somewhere, and yeah, those are the ones, and obviously, Mr. Fantastic, good old
Listen,
Jim,
man, like,
John Krasinski, that one made me jump.
and
like,
this is the thing about watching a movie, not only in the cinema, but it just seems
Yeah.
like the earlier the better, because then you get the true believers,
Yes.
so to speak. And when I tell you that every single camera that popped up had the entire cinema erupting, fam, I was losing my mind. Like, oh, I was having an entire
just like-
blast. And the thing is, they kept them coming one by
Yeah.
one. So they mentioned this one, oh, they mentioned that one, oh, and of course not the last one, but the last announced one was they were like, and the smartest man in the world, Reed Richards,
Like,
and then they show it like from the bottom, like, okay, oh,
Who
Mr.
is it?
Fantastic,
Who is it? Who is it?
cool.
And
And
then
then it's John Krasinski, and I'm like, dude.
Yes.
For years, there's been speculation
Yeah,
from the
the
fans about him
fantastic.
getting the role, and man, these guys are so brilliant. Because I don't know if you know, there's at least one interview where he was asked about this because the fan casting
okay.
was him as Mr. Fantastic,
Yeah, and
Emily Blunt, his
Blunt.
wife, as the Invisible Woman,
Yes, I know that.
and he was like, "Nah, my wife doesn't like or watch
Yeah,
those
yeah,
superhero
yeah, I
movies."
know
And
that, yeah.
for me, like, no, I have no interest in going in that direction. And this is coming from the guy who just made like 2 incredible horror movies, A Quiet Place 1 and 2. So you're like, yeah, nothing about him says that he's gonna fall into this. Granted, he's got the Jack Ryan series
Yeah.
where it's actiony, but it's still a leap from that to like full on superhero. So I would have never ever guessed, that he was actually gonna.
Yeah.
So good on him, I don't know, is this
swerved
like
us.
his
He
acting
swerved us.
skill or deception skills? Because John himself convinced us that
he
nah,
worked us.
he's
He
not gonna
he
be in
worked
it
us. Like,
proper,
he
and it
worked us.
paid off
Yeah.
because when I was surprised as hell, but super pleased, and of course. Professor X, man.
I mean, come on, Patrick Stewart is still a G, bro.
Man.
Like, but if you have Professor X now, that just makes me want Logan in the MCU now.
That seems to be a bigger stretch because bear in
Yeah,
mind, right?
fair enough.
With Logan, Professor X said that Patrick Stewart said he's also retiring the role because we know that Hugh Jackman said he's going to retire the role,
Yeah.
but then Patrick Stewart also decided officially to retire it after
Yeah,
Logan.
and I guess as a cameo, it's good. Like, it's just a one
It
and done.
makes sense. Plus, he died in
Yeah.
the movie as
And
well.
it's a separate universe from the main canon. So
Exactly.
I
So-
think that was the beauty of the cameos. It is a separate universe, so it exists only in that universe.
Yeah.
And they're all dead now, so they don't have to bring them back into the main continuity.
Yeah. They served the purpose, and that was that on that front. And let me see the other highlights that I had. Like you said earlier on, just Marvel being willing to go
Yeah,
that
that extra
dark.
step, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that was like pretty incredible because my biggest complaint about Marvel.
Is yeah, watering
Two
down.
things. It's the unnecessary jokes in so many of the scenes.
And when with the rewatch, there weren't that many.
No.
It was just Wong and Doctor Strange's.
But that's just their banter.
That's just their chemistry. like-
Exactly, right? So, like, the watered down jokes, or the jokes that watered down the seriousness of the
Yeah.
scenes, they didn't have that. And I also remembered that this is the second movie, at least in recent history, where they have done that. I'm trying to think which was the other one. I think it'll come to me at some point.
Yeah.
But it just shows that they've been testing the waters with
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And then with this movie, they knew that, no, man, given the nature of the story, we just need to really go for it. So that's the one thing I wanted to mention, the jokes and how dark they went.
Yeah. I didn't know it was classified as a horror. movie,
So
but,
I do
yeah.
have a bit of a thing about that. I mean,
but I guess if you're classifying is that you can justify the darkness.
No, but here's my thing, right? Try as I might, there's unfortunately, so only so many spoilers,
Yeah.
or even just, I guess, inside info that I can avoid. So I had seen at some point where they mentioned that, so apparently the new Doctor Strange is going to be
Oh,
a
okay.
horror, and I was happy that they were going to go in that direction. Of course, unhappy with the fact that I knew about it
Yeah.
beforehand. Luckily for me, I had forgotten by the time I watched the movie. But the point is, when I was watching the movie, I was then a bit, I guess, displeased at that label
Okay.
because, look,
Yeah.
a horror movie is a scary movie,
Yeah,
and I don't mean the characters being scared. Like, even as the
Yeah.
viewer, there's so many times where you're just scared and you don't know what to do. Your heart is
they
racing
had a
and so
few
on.
Jump scares.
There were a few good jump scares,
Yeah.
but overall, I don't think it deserved that horror
Yeah, yeah.
title and
It was-
or
yeah,
categorization.
I get you,
That
yeah,
it's
yeah.
almost like overselling it. But what I will say is that in the MCU, I can see why that counts as a horror.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Because everything is all
I would say
happy-go-lucky
it's
and
like one of the darkest,
without a doubt,
possibly even the darkest.
it's in the top
an
three.
extent, yeah.
Second place I would probably give to Thor Ragnarok as far as a story.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
with how it played out, they turned it into a bit of a comedy. But you don't really get other dark movies like Iron Man counts as a dark movie because of
Yeah,
the direction that
I mean,
Disney has gone into.
Yeah, even Iron Man, I would say Iron Man 3-ish to an extent, but that's Tony's inner struggle. But that's inner struggle, not necessarily as a whole.
I still might have one above 3 in that category.
Yeah,
but
fair enough, because him. Yeah,
they
I
really,
hear
they
you, I
really
hear
went
you,
there with
yeah.
the first. And remember, this is before Disney, so
Yeah.
Marvel was just doing their own thing. But anyway, the point is, I wouldn't quite categorize it as horror, but I do love how dark they went
Yeah.
in the movie. And then let's see, other shout outs.
Yeah.
Oh, the handling of the multiverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do
yes,
wanna
yes, yes.
give a special mention to that because, so back to what I was saying about Spider-Man, it's Far From Home
Yeah.
with Mysterio.
Yes.
Mysterio is Far From
yeah,
Home. Yes. So in the Far From Home movie, I don't want to say it's the first time, but it was almost like the first embodiment, I guess, of the multiverse
Yeah.
that we saw. And when I found, or when they revealed that, no, Mysterio is just an illusionist, he doesn't come from another multiverse or another universe, I was happy. I was like,
Yeah.
good, don't mess with the multiverse stuff, because given that it literally means an infinite number of possibilities, it's almost too wide of a scope. And I was worried about them messing things up. And then when I saw, because the title, of course, was announced long ago of this Doctor Strange movie,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, Multiverse of Madness. No, man, stay away from the multiverse, And then, of course, they had it in Spider-Man. But then, given the fan service element in there,
Yeah.
it was nice. The
Yeah,
nostalgia, of
They
course.
used,
It made, not only made sense, but it made it acceptable on my part
Yeah.
as the viewer that, okay, cool, multiverse, whatever. But even with that, I was like, please be a one and done. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange did reverse the spell at the end and
Yeah,
whatnot.
exactly,
And then with this one, they just went all out. But
the door is opened, but it's not like it's gonna be the be all and like, yeah. So like, multiverse is open now, but
yeah.
I just hope the direction going forward isn't.
They need to
rely on
tread
it all the
carefully.
time,
Yeah, but that's a concern for later movies. As far as this is concerned, the handling of it was absolutely brilliant. Even with regards to the cameos, I love that it made sense because, like you were saying, it's in
Yeah.
another universe. And if you think about,
Yo, and just on that.
Yeah.
Like I was just thinking like that universe. They didn't say Thanos lost. They just said Thanos got killed. So that was my reasoning, is because it's like so similar but so different, but it's thriving. And you know, Thanos' reasoning is always, I'll take half the population and then you'll thrive. And that universe looked like it was thriving.
That is a hell of an interesting point. I've
Yeah.
never thought about that actually. Yeah, like at what point was he
Yeah.
killed? You know,
Yeah,
was his mission
exactly.
complete or?
Exactly.
That is insane. And if there is a story there, I'll be interested to find out what it is.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, so with what I was saying, how they handled the multiverse, everything just made sense. For instance, Professor X died in Logan.
Yes.
But when you see him in this, you don't question it. And remember,
Yeah.
Marvel has that thing where people die but not really. Then they
Yeah.
come back, and it wasn't
I
that
hope
in
these
this case.
I hope these guys just.
Exactly, that's the
Yeah.
thing. I hope
Or
that
this iteration of them.
the deaths are permanent, but also seeing them, it didn't feel like they were just being brought back again and again.
Yeah.
Because no, it's another universe. They have their own thing
it's
going.
Completely different.
So I feel like everything was
And I
brilliant.
think they justify that as well with Doctor Strange and Christine at the end. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we love each other, but we're from two different realities.
Yes, we can't bring you in. And
Yeah.
with setting it up with the whole
Incursions.
incursion,
Yeah.
I keep saying insurgents, but yeah, the whole incursion thing, just to emphasize that, yeah, you know, we're cool at all, but you still need to stay in your
Yeah.
universe. I'm going to stay in mine. That is dope. Which brings me to my next point about the multiverse. I love that they had the discipline to make it a movie about the multiverse, but still be a Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been very easy to just go on this, you know, rabbit hole of multiverses and ignore the main storyline. So
Like
for them
still have
to
a good story, but bring that element in.
yeah. And I also agree with you with Wong being one of
Yeah.
the highlights,
Big time.
particularly because I love that. So personally, I wasn't too happy with the technicality that had Doctor Strange be removed as a Sorcerer Supreme. But what I will say is that Wong has earned the hell out of that
Yeah.
title. As far as the work that he puts in, I mean, we knew from the very first Doctor Strange movie that,
Yeah.
you know,
He's-
very
he's
devoted, he knows his
somebody-
work, and, you know, but he doesn't feel like a B character anymore.
No, he's like,
He
yeah.
could really go up there with any of them. If you think about it, that first time when Wanda came through to, I always forget the name of the
Kamatage.
Kamatage. When Wanda came through, who was the one
Yeah.
directing the soldiers?
Fortify your mind.
Fortify your minds. That's how he said it. You know, that was Wong doing all of
Yeah.
that. Doctor Strange was just
And
there
like,
as almost another soldier.
And it's cool,
essentially.
like they had the whole Strange Universe, the sorcerers, like show the respect to Wong, like with the bowing.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
they-
saying.
they're
Like he
showing them the
earned his
respect
stripes.
and-
They show that it's just more than a title with
And
Wong.
even in the, like, where was it? Shang-Chi, where he's like the guy in the know, where at the end, where
Yeah,
he's saying, oh, your rings are like.
Explaining the history
Yeah.
behind it, and you know, so it shows that he. You know, there's such a thing as promotion by title. They'll give you a new title, but nothing changes.
Yeah.
Wong stepped up to the
Yes.
title, and for that, I'm like, man, brilliant, good on him, and I'm now keen to see what he's gonna do with it going forward. They had him, as we were saying earlier, he was a bit of a cameo king and whatnot.
I mean, like everywhere.
Exactly, and
Everywhere.
he'll come through, have some humor, and then move on.
Yeah.
Even in the Spider-Man movie,
Spider-Man, I think even Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi,
is,
yeah, they had that fight scene with Abomination.
Yeah, I think, like even some of the series, I think.
No.
No, none of the series.
I don't think he's popped up there.
Maybe, I
not
don't
that I
know.
recall.
Let
but
us know.
So you just pop in and then leave, pop in and then leave, and also so the step up from being that guy to being like the man in charge.
Yeah.
Hella brilliant. How he came through in the
Yeah,
fight at
and
the
then,
beginning.
And then I guess at the end, Strange justifies him being Sorcerer Supreme by bowing. Like, it's quite cool. Like,
And that was a huge thing, particularly for someone with Strange's ego.
Yeah.
And think about it, in Spider-Man, which was just the other day,
Yeah.
you know, in the timeline, he was the one sulking about how no man, he just has a title
It's
as a
a
formality,
technicality,
like you know, it doesn't really mean anything. So it means that he hadn't fully accepted him
Yeah.
in that role. So the bowing had
It was
that
just like,
significance as
come
well.
full circle, yeah?
Yeah, man. So I'm like, no, special shout outs to Wong. Let me see. Is there maybe anything else? I
I
think
think-
as far as the highlights.
I think one more for me is just when they're world jumping or universe jumping. That was just conceptually that was so
when they were
cool.
showing the different
Yeah.
universes. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, that was
obviously,
pretty
I'm,
dope.
I'm not like a mega fan or thing. I just love to know like if any of those worlds are Easter eggs into other universes.
So I mean, I watched that. I watched surprise. I watched it 3 times, and the last time around, I was
Yeah, so
focused
so
on
basically
everything
from
but the two of them.
from release, you watch it once every week.
Pretty much, pretty much, you know. And or rather, the last time around when I was watching it, I was focusing on everything but America and Doctor Strange because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, let me see what I can pick up, let me
Yes,
see what I
yes.
can find, and there was really nothing. The one
Noth-
major, I mean, oh, I think there's maybe 3 Easter eggs, including the one you mentioned, the Baxter thing.
Yes, yes.
When Doctor Strange found Wanda, when he
Oh,
went to her
in
little
that orchard,
forest thing,
yeah, yeah,
the I don't know what to call it, like the apple seeds, I suppose,
yeah.
that she cut off. She placed them into this box, and it looked like they were bringing attention to the box.
Ah,
So
yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
those boxes were upside down, unfortunately, so I couldn't read. But there was like a
Okay.
name of a company or something
Yeah,
on
yeah.
there. And from the first time I saw it, I'm like, nah, man, they're trying to.
If,
They're
you,
trying to
if you're
tell us
doing
something.
that, then also when they just jumped into 838, I think it's 838, that
Mm-hmm.
universe, when he's standing in front of the statue, there's a bookshop, and the name is like super clear there.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a random name. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
anything
yeah,
to
yeah.
me, but
But we always found out later
Yeah.
that, oh no, that actually had a significance,
Yeah.
So that one I didn't pick up
I
on.
don't know.
But yeah,
that
I
was
saw.
just me. It was like so obvious. Like it's just a bookshop. Like why would you have such a clear name and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
a
yeah,
clear
yeah.
view? But,
I guess that's one of the downsides of not being like, a comic book fan per se. But
maybe it's not even a comic book fan. Maybe it's like a shout out to like one of, somebody in the
behind the
production
scenes
team,
and on, oh yeah, because they do that quite a lot.
Like in Deadpool, like where Dopinder is a shout out to Ryan Reynolds' late friend.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So
That
like-
you,
like
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
Okay.
And the one you mentioned or going to mention.
So it was there was the name of the crate, and then the other one, oh, those Iron Man looking robots,
Oh, Ultron.
Ultron. Yeah, yeah. One kept saying Ultron something something. So I was like,
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on there because
So that there's like possibilities like Iron Man could exist there. Hank Pym, I think in the comics he's him and Iron Man create Ultron together. So
Oh.
not Scott Lang, the other one,
yeah, original,
the
yeah,
old
yeah, yeah.
old Bali.
Michael
Yeah,
Douglas.
so he could exist there as well. like,
Okay.
and that whole Ant family.
Yeah. In my head, I was just stuck on Ultron himself. I was like, oh, is there gonna be like some
Yeah, is he gonna like?
return or whatnot? I don't know. We'll see. But I think that's pretty much the Easter eggs that I at least remember at this particular point.
Yeah.
Were there any, I guess, low lights or things you weren't particularly happy with?
So two things.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to think about it, but
Mhm.
two things like Captain Marvel, like her offhand comment was like, "Oh, don't worry about Wanda's dream walking. We've got a solution for that." And then everybody
we
dies.
can handle your little
We
witch.
can handle it.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
everybody dies.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, they're doing Captain Marvel dirty again. Like she's supposed to be this OP character, and then again. And in terms of how she died compared to the others,
Yeah.
it was just like a statue fell on her. Surely she
yeah.
could have like safeguarded against that.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. My excitement of course I was excited when she was mentioned and she
Yeah.
popped up, but that line, I feel like it was so significant. It felt significant when she
Yeah.
was like, "We can handle a little witch." I'm
Yeah,
like,
I'm like,
"Oh,
oh, okay,
what is she capable of?"
Yeah.
And mind you, this is Captain Marvel that has been
Yes.
in that, I guess, title. That has obviously become accustomed to superpowers, who knows a thing or two. I mean, for you to join such an elite group
Yeah.
as the Illuminati, you need to know your stuff. So I was like, okay, what are
Yeah,
you gonna showcase for us?
showcase.
And yeah, in the fight, I feel like there wasn't much of a
Like,
showcase.
Yeah, so like for me, my thing is sometimes, and it's just me with female characters, you don't need to make them feel strong. Sometimes it'll just come across as them being strong.
Yeah.
And the one I don't know a name or a character name, but the in Black Panther, the guard, the main
the general,
royal guard.
the general, yeah.
Like she's my favorite female character.
She's like
so,
an actual badass.
yeah.
Like it's not hinted
Like,
or teased.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So sometimes show us, don't tell us.
Yeah. And I think while we're there and discussing, disappointments, I will say that in general, Marvel doesn't give the female characters the meatiest
Yeah.
of roles.
But I think with Wanda, they it's been a constant
Man.
increase. Like,
But which is great that Wanda is
Yeah.
there. But how many females have they actually shown
Yeah,
in the
showcased,
in the
yeah.
universe? You know, and if you think back to is Infinity War,
yeah.
there was that one little scene where all of them were just
No. It was what is it?
was it Infinity War?
Endgame.
Endgame.
Endgame. Yeah.
Endgame. So in Endgame, yeah, when everyone was coming back
Yeah.
in those
And then
sort of
it's like,
circles,
hey, Peter Parker.
and then all of them were just walking together, and I was like, man, I
Yeah.
felt a little
See,
something
like,
in there.
that was like
It
cool.
gets you riled up, but then there's no real follow through
Mm.
in that movie or any subsequent movies as well, you know. So I feel like in this particular one, I mean, of course, like we said, Wanda killed it,
Yeah.
but Captain Carter and
Oh.
Captain Marvel in particular, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing that they're gonna be defeated, but just before,
But
man.
the thing is, like, Captain Carter can make sense because she's just a super soldier. She's not like on a godly level.
But
So it
even
makes
so,
sense.
she didn't feel very superhero
Yeah.
in that for me. That's my beef. I'm not saying they were
I li-
supposed to overcome her.
I like
or-
how they did. I can do this all day.
which
I mean, like,
again
come on.
adds to my frustration and point.
Yeah.
If she said that, then okay, what's coming? Because that's why
Yeah.
that had me at the edge of my seat when she said that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, what's she gonna do?
Yeah. Showcase fight scene.
And
no.
then there wasn't really anything. And I understand emphasizing and showcasing Wanda's powers. That was great, but they could have had a moment or two where
Yeah.
it's kind of neck and neck, head to head.
They could have fleshed out the fight a little bit more. I think.
That's definitely what I'm saying. And there wasn't any unity
Yeah.
because here's the thing, right? The Illuminati dudes, are they that universe's Avengers or what?
It seems like it.
Because if they are, where was the teamwork
Yeah.
when they were facing the biggest villain thus far? And I mean, these are the guys that defeated Thanos.
Yeah.
So I think that was the one letdown for me. It was exciting to see the cameos, but they didn't feel very super for me
Yeah.
in
fair
that
enough. I mean,
scene.
like John Krasinski, like we will stop, and then he just spaghetti.
Mr. Fantastic. And on the one end, right? Granted, his ultimate superpower is his genius as
Yeah.
opposed to the physicality of it
I
all.
thought with Multiverse of Madness, I don't know if you've heard this in the cartoons and comics, whatever, but in the multiverse, I think it's the Council of Reeds. So there's a Reed Richards or a Council of Reed Richards
Okay.
that
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
all
yeah.
super geniuses and like from different multiverses and whatnot,
Yeah.
and they have a similar function to the Illuminati. So I thought that was gonna happen,
Oh, okay.
but it's a pleasant surprise with the Illuminati. Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, man. For me,
But I
I
get you,
feel
yeah,
like
it's-
the cameos super amazing,
Yeah, just the
but
pow-
the
power
showcasing
scale.
of the ability.
The power scale.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly blown away by. And anything else that you feel they could have done better?
It's just a small thing on my end. Like when they were getting when they arrived at the door at the book to get to the waypoint of the book and that of the lock.
Oh.
Christine was like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
only Doctor Strange knows how to open this. And then like 2 seconds later, she's like, try the watch.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, the convenience
Yeah.
element. Like, yeah, we understand, it's a superhero
Yeah.
movie, and
I understand you're close to him and whatever, but
it was a little too on the nose, If anything, if he had figured it out,
Yeah.
yes, it's not his universe, but it's one of those
Yeah.
only weak. It's like when he met
it's a common
the doc,
yeah.
Doctor Strange. He's like, oh, prove it
Yeah.
that you're from another universe, and he told him something that only he could know. So I feel like something like that, if they had used that element instead of, oh, I know,
Yeah.
here's your watch, because mind you, it wasn't even planned per se for her to be there.
Yeah.
She just kind of happened to be there. So
And
that-
then how would she have like the watch, on her?
which I guess I can
Yeah.
understand as far as the monument of their love, because
Yeah.
she was still with him,
They
and
didn't quite figure it out.
I get the backstory of it all. There's just the presentation of
Yeah.
it. That's where I was a bit come on, guys. Anything else?
No, I think those are the main two ones for me. And I guess as you mentioned, the power scale of the cameos. But
Yeah.
I think not too many things to pick apart on my
Yeah,
end.
without a doubt. For me, that's also why I feel it deserves a solid 9, is because of the lack of weaknesses, or just how few they
Yeah.
were. One which it might be a nitpicky thing on my side, but man, I do get that way, so you must just bear with me.
Hey.
When the two Doctors Strangers, I guess, were having a fight, the
was
the
a-
dark one and our one,
That was a dope scene though with the music.
No.
music. No, did you like it? I
they
enjoyed
took
it.
away from it being dope, because I liked the fight itself. That was very,
Yeah.
I guess, interesting and out there.
Okay.
what I didn't like was when they had that element where the I guess the notes would play the music as they impact.
Yeah,
I was like, that felt super cheesy for me.
yeah. Okay.
It,
I mean, I enjoy the cheesiness.
Here's
I
what they
enjoyed
should have done, right? So, firstly, okay, I don't know much about composers and all of that. It would have been an interesting Easter egg, I guess, if they had used, let's say, the music from two well-known rival composers.
Okay.
I have no clue whose music they used,
Yeah.
by the way, but I'm just
Might,
saying,
it might actually have been, you know.
if that is the case, that would have been amazing. And now, with specific reference to what I was saying, how the music played into that, I didn't like that, when this note hits it, then it plays the sound. If anything, they should have scored which they did do. So there's a combination of two things, right? As the note lands, then it plays out the sound. But in the background, they would play whatever music that
Oh, okay.
yeah,
okay.
that
So you
Strange is
only,
representing.
You really only wanted the composer.
If they kept it as background music, then it would have been dope. So on the one end, it'll play very dark music. Then on the other, it'll be like fairly lighter. Leave it at that, and then let the notes go and I guess attack each other, whatever. That element on its own was very dope. I just don't like how they how they played it out. And another thing might be a nitpick, but when they kept saying the other strange, other strange, like
Oh, that's
no,
Should've said
why the Doctor Strange from that universe, the Doctor Strange from this universe, simple as that, And I feel if they kept it that way, it just would have been much better. I'm trying to see, because again, when watching it, there really weren't too many things. It was like, why did you do this? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Which happens quite a lot with Marvel movies, mind you. But I think overall, they definitely knocked it out the park.
Big time.
And yeah, man,
definitely one of we were saying earlier, like one of the ones I think I can rewatch like
multiple times
and not get tired of it
and enjoy. And I guess another thing that we can mention, definitely not a low light or anything, but just the viewing experience. So this movie was my first time watching a movie in IMAX 3D. Properly. So I don't know if I mentioned this when we were speaking about Spider-Man, but so when watching Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh man.
No.
When watching Spider-Man No Way Home. So I mean,
one.
as a movie nerd and a person that watches the same movie multiple times at the cinema, I of course have my fair share of 3D glasses just chilling, in my place. And so I thought, man, I'm watching a 3D movie. I'm gonna take my old glasses. So I went to watch Spider-Man No Way Home with regular 3D glasses instead of IMAX 3D glasses. And I always make the joke that I saw it in 70%, IMAX 3D as opposed to, full on IMAX 3D. And when watching this movie, oh my goodness, let me tell you.
Yeah, I told you Shang-Chi was an experience.
I can imagine.
This one.
I can imagine because firstly, the general tone and color schemes of like the Marvel movies, they require as high resolution as possible. But when you get into Doctor Strange specifically, with the sorcery and all of that, like you need whatever heightens the visual experience. And I now understand why there has to be like an IMAX, it's because you actually see the difference. And let me tell you how much of a difference it makes. So I mentioned I watched it 3 times. So the first time IMAX 3D, the second time, which is actually only a few days afterwards, I watched it in regular 3D.
Okay.
I felt like I was watching a movie on my laptop in 360p quality, just on a big ass screen. I was like, man, are these glasses working? I can't tell you how many times I kept rubbing my glasses nah, man, come on, man, come. I was like, guys, this is it, And mind you, these two cinemas are probably
next to each other, probably.
No. These are like just over 10Ks apart, or close to 10Ks apart. In my head, I'm like, man, is it too late to switch over and go to the other cinema? But I made sure for my third viewing that, nah, man, IMAX 3D is just the way to go. And as a result, I've made it a promise to myself that, man, any movie that I want to watch that has IMAX or IMAX 3D available, I'm going to go straight for that. And I think, it has literally changed, maybe even ruined, my viewing experiences going forward. But it was phenomenal, man. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, Marvel, like the two that I've seen, knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
Big
no,
time.
they definitely deserve that treatment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. So as far as the future of, as far as the future of, we're gonna first talk about the future of Doctor Strange, and then we'll talk about the future of Marvel in general. Did you see at the end there where he was just walking by, la 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 la, and then the eye just pops up out of nowhere?
And then it ends.
and then it ends.
I didn't get that one. I like.
So I didn't as well. And then when I watched it the third time, it clicked that, oh, it's the, I guess, side effect, for lack of a better term, of using the dark hold.
Okay,
the
oh, no, I
consequence.
got that. But for me, my confusion was they showed it that first time and then the mid-credit scene again. Like,
He's embraced it.
so yeah. So my thing is it two different universes or is it just a time lapse?
No. It's definitely
just the time lapse.
It's time lapse, but very same universe. Because remember, that's what the end credits are. It's either just after this movie or a little further down the line. The first one, anyway.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
for me,
then I got like the dark hole thing clicked to me because of the other
Doctor
obviously,
Strange.
the dark Doctor Strange and the destroyed universe.
Okay, no. I see the irony in what I said.
I don't want to do the other Strange, you know.
It's the dark Doctor Strange. I think. Yeah. Because obviously, the more you watch it, the more things you pick up and so on. So I got that. Because here's the thing, though. It's not that I wasn't aware that you could have consequences. It's just that he seemed to be above it.
Yeah.
Because firstly, not only did he use the dark hold, not only did he dreamwalk. Not only did he dreamwalk, but he possessed a dead body.
And he controlled the
the
spirits
soul.
of the damned.
Exactly. So with the spirits popping up, in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, yes, you're possessing a dead body, but at the same time, it's also like, what are the consequences of using the dark hole? But he overcame that. So it never clicked for me there's further consequences.
And then like he didn't get corrupted by the power. He didn't seem to be corrupted by the power.
That's what I'm saying, in spite of how long he remained in that state. So only after the third viewing was I
think it's cool. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like, people who use the dark hold had black fingertips.
Yes, and he didn't, because it was a one and done. With the others, because they became obsessed with it, And so for me, I'm like, damn, this looks like a permanent consequence, if I can put it that way.
So like he
a permanent change.
leveled up.
Leveled. I don't know whether we would put it as up, because he's technically. Does this mean he become darker or just accessed? It's like the ancient one. She used the dark powers, but then she still did good and that sort of thing. So
I think it's a similar situation, like more weapons in the arsenal.
But now here's my big concern, because once again, right, when Charlize Theron popped up, and we'll speak about her in a bit, it seemed like he's in control. He's embraced that new eye and all of that, right? But does this mean that he's not gonna fall deep into the rabbit hole of the dark side of using the dark hole? Or
dark hole
we're just anticipating. But whatever he got from it lives with him, is what I'm saying. So is it gonna get worse, or is that it?
Yeah.
I was very curious about that.
Now only time will tell. Like, we have to wait.
I'm super interested in this, man, because especially given that they had that on the evil Doctor Strange, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, man, is he then on a path that's gonna turn him evil? Is this a reversible thing? Or because even the Book of Ashanti is destroyed.
Yeah, so there's no way to like rectify that. Yeah.
Not that we can, guess at this particular point in time. So I'm like, man. And again, shout out to them, because it's like, it doesn't feel like a normal continuation. It's like, oh, what in the world's gonna happen next? The anticipation already, and the movie's probably like 3-4 years away.
We've got a whole spectrum of movies.
Man, but just to get us excited. So they got us excited at the beginning. They got us excited at the end. It's not an easy thing to pull off. Big on them. Yeah. So I think as far as the future of Doctor Strange, that's just the one thing I had in mind.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any thoughts. Again, let's get into the whole thing with Charlize Theron.
I mean, I don't know what her role is.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Do you have any speculations as to what world they jumped into? Because
it looked like the Dark Dimension. So if you watch the first
Dormammu,
one, it looked like Dormammu's color scheme. And
so for me, the first time, that's what I thought. And then when I saw it the third time, I was like, okay, it could be that, or it could be. It's like the, I guess, space dirt of the incursion, because they said that there was an incursion and we need to fix it. So maybe that's just an aftermath of that. So I was like, I wonder which of the two it is. And the fact that they're going into the dead of space, like, what do you even do when you get there?
I think it'd be cool if it's Dark Dimension, because then you have, in the next movie, you'd have Mordor. Because remember, they showcased him as the big villain for the next movie, but he wasn't really anything in this movie. Yeah,
I still have no clue, like, where exactly he went. The last thing I remember with our Mordor, I'll say, was just him wandering off
Yeah.
or something. Like,
So it'd be cool if it's Dark Dimension, because then they could reintroduce him
yeah,
as the
yeah.
big bad for the next.
And also
Doctor
finish his
Strange.
story
Yeah, his
because it's
story arc as well,
incomplete.
yeah.
And then maybe we might get to see Dormammu again because I
Yeah.
mean he was spoken of as this big bad, and then
Yeah.
we didn't really see any showcasing.
Yeah,
of
we
it.
just saw his
just a
face and his
teaser,
power,
you know.
and
Excuse me. So I think this will present a proper opportunity to just.
and it's also a different thing now because he doesn't have the time stone anymore to defeat him.
Which is what he used at
The
other
last
time.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So it'd be a cool dynamic to see. Same
He
villain.
lost his bargaining chip.
Yeah.
You know? And then any thoughts on Charlize Theron? Or speculations, guesses, and
Not really, eh? Like I'm. It's nice to see that she's in the MCU.
no, I mean her character.
I don't know. Like, when she popped up,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
complete surprise. I don't know anything.
I was personally excited as far as the casting of it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, Charlize Theron
yeah,
is in
it's
this.
nice to see her in the MCU.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm pretty keen to see
Yeah.
what they're gonna do with her and her character, and the future of Marvel. So here's the thing, right? A lot of times Marvel
So,
comes
like,
through, they have
sure.
dope movies and all of that, and then I've said so many times that
Yeah, but then
they miss the mark by watering it down with
Yeah.
unnecessary nonsense here and there. And keep in mind, here's something we haven't, I guess, gotten into before. Eternals and Morbius have been
Is it-
released by Marvel.
I know, but,
But-
I know Eternals is MCU. Is Morbius MCU?
I'm not too sure, right? Because with what everyone else said, I didn't feel the need to go and confirm for myself.
Yeah.
Maybe later
Like,
on I'll
I'm
check
still
it
a
out.
bit reluctant about watching Morbius, so
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I'll
the-
watch it eventually, but not.
The point is they've dropped 2 disappointing movies recently,
Yeah.
and with that in mind, going forward, do we feel like what's your level of anticipation as far as them
Oh.
just coming through with heat?
So the next one is definitely Thor.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate when I did the rewatch, I caught the trailer.
I blocked my ears in
Yeah,
the cinema
I
and I closed my eyes.
I wanted to do the whole. But it's like I'm here now. And, I mean, it didn't showcase anything.
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like as comedy vibes. Just on the
Man.
initial.
Okay.
Just on the initial.
Yeah. And I know it was a teaser as
yeah,
opposed to
yeah.
full on trailer.
Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully a little bit more serious tone.
Yeah.
I would prefer. I like the comedy, but as you say, you don't want it to be overdone.
Yes.
So like if characters have natural chemistry, so like Wong and Doctor Strange.
Yeah. They don't understand.
Star-Lord and Thor, they have a good chemistry.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they keep the chemistry with the characters, that's amazing. But don't like have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just going forward, I'd like it to be a little bit more serious with hints of comedy, not comedy for the sake of just having it there. And I think like, especially if kids are your target market, they kids are not dumb. They're gonna enjoy the serious stuff.
Yeah.
And if anything, like I know we always talk about How I Met Your Mother, and like I used to watch it as a kid and it was funny.
Yes.
And then I watched it as an adult, and it was funny, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
And if you have it like that, you're gonna have fans for life. Where you have it's funny as a kid, but it's also funny as an adult as well, or good as an adult.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is that as serious as this was, and I've never been the person to say Marvel must always be serious. I just want them to be true to the story and the characters that they write. I mean, it's one thing to be like, no, this guy historically was like this, that. No, we know that for the movie purposes, they're creating their own incarnation of that character. That's fine. But stay true to them, If it's a serious tone, a serious character, let it be serious and don't be scared of that risk. And another thing is, as much as I try to avoid, like I said earlier, the spoilers and, reveals and all of that.
It's inevitable.
One thing, including reviews, so I always avoid reviews and even interviews until we have had our chat, because I don't want to be influenced.
I get you.
One of the things that did slip through was the criticism that the movie got. People were apparently not too happy with like Scarlet Witch. There was the one thing, and then this is a stupid one, but like with America, her parents, being I guess 2 female lovers and all. Apparently there was like a whole thing about she herself was getting bullied online. That was just a stupid thing.
That's just people being stupid.
My thing is the criticism of Wanda and maybe even how serious the movie itself was. With that being out there, I just want Marvel to stick to their guns.
Yeah.
And not be swayed by this.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a couple of things they'll do to please the fans, but I hope that doesn't let them sway away from making serious movies when serious movies are called for. Because ultimately having a balance is what is really gonna keep us interested.
Yeah.
You know, it can't all be comedy, it can't
Yeah.
all be dark, but so I just
Yeah,
as long as they don't
yeah, like different characters have different tones.
even in
Like,
the comics it's always been that way,
yeah.
even in the cartoons. So I hope that they just keep that going forward here.
Yeah.
And then I'm just trying to think if there's maybe like any final thoughts, anything I may have like left behind from earlier.
I
But
think
yeah, overall,
nobody's gonna be
man, shout out
fine.
Marvel. And
Yeah.
if anything,
Good
that for
stuff,
me
man.
solidified that Kevin Feige is
He's a genius.
top 10 Hollywood producer. And if anything, I'm trying to think, maybe one day we'll have a conversation as far as what will it take for him not to be number one? Because as we've
Yeah,
said,
fair enough.
they've dropped like 20 something movies.
Plus all the series that are coming through now.
The quality
and the
across
quality
the
is
board,
good.
the money that they have been making.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, yes, there are a couple duds here and there, but I feel like his success percentage might be out of this world. And apparently, I'm just trying to think of the discussion. There was a time where he threatened to walk because we see him as the guy where the buck stops, but
Yeah.
apparently there's some guys even above him. So there was some argument they were having with one of the past movies. He was like, if y'all don't do this, I'm gonna walk. And they were like, okay. Obviously they kept him around. So I'm like, if they let him walk,
Yo, that's a big mistake.
nah.
man.
There needs to be a
That's a
hand
big
over that
mistake.
he does himself.
Yeah.
Because he may not be at the
needs
helm
to
forever,
pick,
yes.
He needs to pick
His successor.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Marvel, do your best, man. Keep Kevin Feige happy so he can
Yeah.
keep us happy.
He's making you money.
A ton of it's damn near a
It's-
guarantee
what
that
is
every
it?
movie's
It's
like
a
a billion
billion,
at this
yeah.
point, you know. So yeah,
Even the average ones are gonna get you like 700-800.
at the very least. Yeah. So no, without a doubt, definitely like huge shout out to him, and looking forward to see what they're gonna do with the new Thor's. Scared as I am, but we obviously have to give it a fair chance, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that pretty much concludes our thoughts then on this one.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Go give it a watch.
Alright, man. Shout out. Yeah, that's a wrap.
Yes, sir.